Right, I'm back in the kitchen now with Great British Bake Off finalist Andrew Smyth. Andrew, remind me what you're doing for us this morning.
So today we're doing a savoury classic on a French classic, I suppose. So we're doing a roasted butternut squash and caramelised red onion tarte tatin.
Perfect. It sounds very posh, but is it easy?
Yes, very easy, just a couple of steps. So to start things off, basically what I've done is I've just peeled and cored a butternut squash.
Excellent.
I try and get the shortest, fattest squash you can find for this. That's my top tip.
Okay.
And all I'm going to do is, because we're going to lay it out in the pan afterwards in a fan shape, I like to kind of hover it with the C kind of shaped bit here, and then cut it just so that it comes to the middle of the pan.
That
just means when we're laying it out, we don't get too much overlap.
Of course.
So I just slice that there, and then if I just one slice, just to demo that. Oh, excuse me.
That's okay, don't worry, as long as you didn't cut your hand.
I'm all right. My fingers are all still intact, but be careful with that. I'm in a bit of a TV rush here. But basically, you just want to lie all those out on the tray.
Right, lovely.
Give those a little drizzle of oil, and then just a bit of salt and pepper as well.
Lovely.
I'm going to pop those into a nice hot oven, about 180 for just 15 minutes either side.
Great. I love vegetables like that. Do you know what? I love putting vegetables in there and just letting them do their thing.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
so tasty.
Well, you can just leave it to it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
great. So I'm just going to pop that board back there.
Yep.
Now, what we're going to do next is I've just got some red onions here, sweating down with some butter.
Lovely.
Now, to get that nice sweet caramelised texture, I'm just going to add in some soft brown sugar.
Excellent.
Just stir that in, and then 115 ml of red wine vinegar. Now, what that's going to do, that gives it that kind of tang that you're after.
Lovely.
What we're going to do is just add all of that in, and then just leave that to do its thing. So we want to reduce that to a syrupy consistency, because that's going to go on top of our sweet potato. Roasted butternut squash wedges.
But you could do it with sweet potatoes as well.
You could. I mean, I've actually done it with that as well. Just any roast veg will work really nicely for that. So meanwhile, what I want to do is I can prep my pastry.
Sure.
So now, we don't all have time to make it from scratch, even us bake-off finalists. So I've just got some good shop-bought all butter puff pastry. Excellent. My top tip for this: get a plate that's roughly the size of the pan that you're using, and then use that on top of the pastry.
That makes sense.
And a pizza cutter, very handy tool.
Very good idea.
Just cut that out.
Sure.
And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that excess. We'll pop that away here, and then prick it all over with a fork. That's just going to make sure it puffs up very nicely. So just prick that all over with a fork.
And it's okay to use shop bought, isn't it? It's all
absolutely use shop bought. I mean, if you've got a weekend, great.
Sure.
Use the time. Now, what I do is I'd usually freeze that for about 10 minutes. Or chill it in the fridge. That just means it'll help it crisp up nicely.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now, what will happen? Here's some I made earlier. Once your wedges are done, we're going to want to get our pan here and just line the squash in kind of a fan pattern. Lovely. It's going to give that real visual effect when we tip it out.
Of course.
So I've got a couple in there already. I'm just going to put the remaining wedges in there. Doesn't matter if there's a little bit of an overlap.
It's okay. Yeah.
It's going to be all right. Sure. So I'm just going to pop those in there. If you've got a couple left over, you can always just chop those and pop those on the top.
Lovely.
Now, those are still reducing, so I've got some that I just reduced a bit earlier, and I'm just going to use those to fill in the gaps. So we basically just use that, plug all those gaps with the red onion, because obviously we're going to be turning this out at the end, so that's going to be how we're going to get this nice visual.
That'd be good for Christmas as well, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Really nice Christmas thing.
And then just drape our puff pastry on top, so just a little bit of thyme in there as well.
Sure. Just
for flavour. And then the puff pastry on top, and then just press that down around the edges, and a little brush of milk.
Right.
Now you want to put this in a nice hot oven for about 40 minutes. Keep a close eye on it, just in case it's nice and golden. You want that nice crunch.
You want that.
So I pop that in the oven, and then I'm going to grab one that I've made earlier, and hopefully, if we're lucky, it'll turn out. So here's one I made earlier, and
I love here's one I made earlier.
I know. I've always wanted to say that.
And it's going on
what we're
golden.
going to do is we're just going to loosen that around the edge.
Sure.
And plate on top.
It's going to work.
Tip that over.
Ta-da!
It's going to work.
Yes.
There we go.
That is a thing of beauty,
so
perfection, and joy.
No,
that's gorgeous.
I'll just crumble some goat's cheese on top of that, and I think just because that one's a little bit hot, I've sliced you a bit from earlier on for you to try.
Thank you.
My hands.
That's gorgeous. Grab a wee thing.
Yeah, grab a wee fork there.
Lovely.
And you know what? This would work really nicely just with some grilled halloumi as well.
Oh, it would.
It'd
be really good, wouldn't it? I'd like that.
Yeah, you can kind of let your creativity run wild a bit.
But it's so good.
But yeah, very wintry, especially squash. It's the season for squash.
I love goat's cheese, and that just goes so well. That is beautiful.
Bit manic, but we've got there eventually.
It's a bit manic. First time, did brilliantly. Will you come back?
Absolutely, I'd love to come back.
I would love to see you anytime you like. In fact, live here and cook for me every day. Thank you, love. Now, you know earlier on we saw Joe, do you remember?
Yes.
And he was taking selfies. This is what he tweeted. Look, because you have to be grumpy when you're talking to I look really grumpy, don't I?
You do.
It's very, very funny.